Hi, this is Chong Kim, and today I'm going to talk to you about my setup. I have, whenever I get a new Mac, I go through these steps pretty much every time. So let me start off with the system preferences. So if I go to system preferences here and go to the keyboard, what I do is I change the modifier keys here. Use the Apple. Usually it's set to be the caps locks. Of course, it's set to be caps lock, but I like to change it to control because the caps lock is right at the home level, and so doing control from there makes everything a lot easier. The normal place where the control is just very awkward position for the pinky, and as a programmer, you use the control key a lot, so it's really important to do that. The next thing is the mouse size. So if I go back to my system preferences, now you would think that the size of the mouse would probably be in the mouse section, but actually it's in the accessibility. So if I go to accessibility under vision, we have the display and the pointer. I set it to be a fairly like usually like I'm not really sure, but I think like usually it's something kind of small, and especially if you have a big monitor and you set the resolution, then it's kind of hard to know where the mouse is. So I like to bump it up a little bit, so about this much, and you should have the shake mouse pointer to locate turned on. So when I shake my mouse, you can see it gets bigger, so it makes it very obvious where it is. Next is zoom. So for zoom, by default this thing is off, but I turn it on. And this says use scroll gestures with modifier keys to zoom. And here's the control keys. It's using the control. So you use the control, you press down the control, and you use your two fingers to swipe on your touchpad going up, and you can see that it zooms, and then control two fingers down will bring it back. The other way that you can do it, since it's a scroll gesture, the other way that you can do it is by holding the control key and using your mouse's wheel. You can scroll up or down, and down or up, and you can see that it works as well. I noticed that sometimes if you accidentally do this and get stuck, I think like I have it. Let me see. Is it maybe it's under advanced? I have it set to continuously with pointer. I think the default is only when the pointer reaches an edge. So it seems like it's stuck like this, and until you go to the edge. So sometimes you might actually do this by pressing Control and using your mouse wheel, and you get into this situation by accident. And just remember what it is. So just Control, two finger swipe down, and everything's back to normal. Okay. Oh, I like to do continuously with pointer. Okay. So that's the system preferences. Next is iTerm. So the default, this is the iTerm right here, and by default, to compare, this is the terminal that comes with the Mac. This terminal is okay, but it's missing a lot of features. You can split horizontally, and I think I don't know if you're able to split vertically. Let's just see. Let's see. I know I can do Command D and that splits it, but I don't think you could split it any other way. It's very limited. Yeah, under View, split pane, but yeah, they have a close split pane, but they don't have any others. So on iTerm, you can do this or you can do that, and see if they have tabbing here. Yeah, you can create tabs here as well. But I like iTerm 2 better because going back to here, I can move the panes around. So if I right mouse click, I have move session to a split pane. So I could take this one and put it at the bottom of this one. So So it's much easier to move around, and if I want to, I could split it out into a new window, and it, it splits it out into a new window. Oh, did I do the wrong one? Oh, let's see. Oh, what did I do? Split session to window, and there it is. Oh, it just puts it out into a tab. Okay, so that's where it went. So now I have it in 3 different tabs. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the iTerm. So that's a split pane. It's a lot better. Oh, completions. Let me turn off the terminal over here. So, oh, by the way, some of the ways that I find these new features is because iTerm has this show tip of the day. So if I do that, this is what it would look like. So every day I would get a tip, and sometimes it's, oh, it says control arrow. So let's try that, command. So if I split this, and if I do, I think it was control option, no, it's control, all right. Okay, so let me just undo that. So going back here, if I do a control option, not control option, it's command option, and use the arrow keys, I can move it to resize. So that's pretty convenient. It's a lot of useful things. The thing I wanted to show you was the completions. So if I have something like, let's say, if I type DO and then do command semicolon. Okay, actually, I don't have anything that shows there. So if I do, let's see, and then command semicolon, and you can see that it shows a completion, and then you press carriage return and it'll pick it. I wonder if I could see if, like, if I do dot files like that. Let me see if dot files would show up. All right, that comes in handy when you have something. If you have like a git log, for example, and there's a hash key, then you can do one for like git checkout, A5 like that, and command semicolon, and you can do that. So you don't have to copy and paste. Oh, broadcast. Broadcast is when you have 2 separate windows, right? A good usage is if you have 2 directories and you want to compare it and you want to seed into it. Then right now, if I do ls, it only do to one window. As I go to the other one, you know, it's like you'd have to do it one at a time if you were to traverse the directory structure. And if you want to broadcast, it's command option I, and this says the keyboard input will be sent to multiple sessions, and I'm okay with that. So now when you're typing, you can see over here on the right, there's that icon showing that this is being broadcasted. So now when I type, it goes to both sessions. It's very handy when you know, you need to do 2 things on 2 different servers, like a database, for example. You're comparing 2 database tables. All right, and to stop it, you do command option I again, and back to normal. That was the broadcast. Clickable links. So if you happen to have http / Google, for example, if you press command and mouse over, it turns into a link where you can click on it, and it'll just bring you right there. So that's very convenient. This also happens with files too. So you know, you can just sort of explore more things with iTerms. There's a lot more. I think they also images can be embedded into the iTerm window. Okay, Homebrew. So I think most people, when they get a Mac, they know about Homebrew because this is a package manager that allows you to download other packages. Like here's 4 that I pretty much use all the time. First is ag. Ag is also known as the silver searcher. It's a little pun because Ag is the chemical symbol for silver, so it's the silver searcher. Play on the silver surfer. So let me show you how it works. It's normally when you're in, let's go to project, setup. Okay, so normally when you're in a directory and you want to look for something, you would probably use grep, because grep is a built-in tool. So if you grep for a file, let's say VS Code, inside of this, uh, and I press, carriage return, there it is. Except that it doesn't show you the file associated with that. So instead, I'll need to pass in a dash capital H, and then it shows up. So it works, but then you have these extra arguments that you have to pass in, which is a list of files. It doesn't really work well with directories. So if you put a directory here, it doesn't work. But then I think you need to pass in a dash. Actually, the option really should be over here. So dash H and dash R. R means recursive, so it'll be a directory. So you can kind of do that. But AG, if I do the same thing with AG VS Code like this, you can see it coming out this way. I like the output better, and AG is written in C, so it's very fast. So I like the way it's set up. When you have a lot of files, having the file put up over here is kind of nice. Okay, so tree. Tree is, so if I do a tree and give it this current directory, this shows you there isn't very much in this directory. So if I do a tree for another directory, let's say if I go back here and I was working on a, I was playing around with the, let me see, let's see what's in here, a Flask tutorial. So if I go into the Flask tutorial and I do a tree on this, you can see the tree structure. It's kind of big, so if I wanted to just limit it to dash L 1, that's at one level. If I do 2, that'll go down to the second level. And it's nice to visually see, and it looks kind of pretty too. So see where all the files are. TMUX. So TMUX is a, I guess, it stands for terminal multiplexer, and TMUX. I wonder if that's, yeah, terminal multiplexer. So what does it do? What problem does it solve? Well, the problem that it solves is if you wanted to, well, okay, let me give you an example here. So I run TMUX. Actually, it says that I have a session should be okay. I see. The reason why is because I had a TMUX session already running, and that was from a previous instance. So let me try this again. So I type TMUX. It's just TMUX, not -cc. I'll show you what that feature is later. So I have a TMUX session. You can see that it's a TMUX session by this bottom here where it shows the status. And if you do, and the prefix for TMUX is Control B. So to do any TMUX commands, you do Control B, double quote, and that'll split this way. And if you do Control B %, it'll split that way. And it's kind of nice. And you might be asking yourself, so what's the difference between this and iTerm2? iTerm2 is better because it's a GUI interface as opposed to this being split into windows within the text. Well, the difference is that iTerm only works on your local machine, but TMUX works on any console. So that means that if you have a remote machine, you can just log into the remote machine and use TMUX and have basically the same type of session as you would with your iTerm that you normally have locally, but now you can do it remotely. So here's a cool little feature. If I kill this window, which also works if you lose your internet connection, and I bring it back up, and let's say, for example, this was a remote machine. If it was a remote machine, then you would just log into that machine again. And on that machine, you would say TMUX A or attach. A is short for attach, so I'm just going to do TMUX A. And it brings you back the session because that session is running inside of a server. And you can just attach back. You can do it without killing the window by doing Control B, D as for detach, and then you can do TMUX A again and bring it back. And to see all the different kinds of commands that you can do, you do Control B question mark, and you can just use your arrows, and then if you want to get out, you just press Q and just go back out. And then Control B O is to let's see, Control B O is to go to the other window, and I think Control B C is to close. I think it closes everything. So that's one. TMUX actually has a lot of features, so that's just one feature that it has this windowing thing that you're able to do. Another thing is the iTerm TMUX integration. So let me get out of here and let me just detach. So Control B C is to create one. So when I close that other window, it brought this one up. So Control B C was to create a window. So let me let me just get out of here. So just start up a new one just to start fresh. So instead of just running TMUX just like this, if I do CC, iTerm has TMUX integrations so that TMUX talks to your client. Well, it doesn't actually talk to your client, but it sends back information on how it's being rendered, so your program can, in our case, the program is iTerm too, can handle it. So now it looks exactly like my iTerm, but imagine if I was remotely logged into someplace else. Now I'm able to have the full, like for example, Command Shift D will split it horizontally, and Command D will just do it vertically. And this can, so not only can you do it locally, but also remotely. So that's the TMUX integration. Just get out. Okay. Share session. Okay. So here's one session, and I'm going to bring up another window. Oh, see. Actually, let me cancel this. The reason why is because I'm inside of TMUX, so I'd rather start with a fresh TMUX. So let's say that I have a TMUX session here, and then I create another window, and just to make it different, I'm going to do that. And this window, so the one on the left is a TMUX session, and the one on the right, I'm going to just attach. And when I attach, it brings it. Now I have two copies, so I can do it on this one, or type over here, and it's the same. For now, you may think so what? Well, this window doesn't have to be on this machine. I could be on my other laptop, and now it's or I could leave this on, at work, and this one at home, and I could just connect to the same session. This works if it's the same user account. But if you wanted to use it for a different account, so let's say you had a friend and you want them to share the same session, what you would do is you would say TMUX-S and give it a socket name, a place to put it. And usually you can put it into temp. So when you do that, now you have a socket that the other person can connect to. Let's see. All right. So this socket was created here, and notice that the permissions aren't set so that other people are not able to access it. So you need to set your permissions, chmod, modify the permissions to 777. 7 means that all read, write, and execute will be turned on. And if I look at it again, you can see the permission is open to everybody. So the other person, if they want to attach to the same session, so imagine if this was a different user. So the user now has access to that socket. So when he starts the TMUX session, he can pass in the option for the socket and A for attach. And now, so you can imagine that this is the second person, two different users being able to use the same session. And this person can be typing, or this person could be typing. So that's very convenient. It's a good way to do pair programming. If you have audio and you're able to talk to that other person, then yeah, you don't need any fancy software. You just use TMUX, and you can, as long as that other person has access to the machine, and you give it permissions. That's all you have to do. Okay. So there's other things that TMUX has, and I'll probably show it to you later, or maybe in a different episode. Okay, the other thing is Pienv. So Pienv is just a version manager for Python, virtual environment. So, well, no, it's not a virtual environment. It selects which version of Python that you're using. So if I have it already set up, so when you do a brew, one thing about brew install Pienv that you have to be careful about is that let's just go to Pienv. Okay, so Pienv, they have the instructions here, and all you need to do is just basically brew install, and everything should be almost fine. There is something that you need to add to your startup script. So here's the instructions. You do a brew install pienv, but then afterwards you have to update your init script. So let's say ZSH, right? So for ZSH, you have to add this into your ZHRC file. For ZHRC, this is all you need to do. You have to put it in somewhere, and this is for the Z profile if you have that. So once that's set, what it does is it creates a little shim. Let's get rid of this. Okay. So if you type in which Python, normally it would show you the directory where the Python is, which is like /system, whatever. But this is points to a Python, and I think this is a symlink. Actually, let's double check that. So if I take a look at .pienv and pienv under shims, well, actually, it looks like there are actual executables here. Yeah, so that specific version of Python. Yeah, there's the Python 3 and stuff. Okay, so Pienv versions, if you do that, this is the system version of Python, and it's usually some older version of Python, and I like to do a Pienv install of like whatever the latest version of Python is, and set it. And you can read up on Pienv. To switch to that version, you would just say Pienv global system, for example, and which Python. Well, actually, this will be the same, but it would Python on Pienv versions, and also, oh, actually, it's still the same. Oh, I know why. The reason why this hasn't changed is because earlier I did Pienv local 397. And when you do that, this is set by this. It creates a file in your local directory called .pienv version. And if this file exists, it will set your Python version to be this. If you do global, then that is the version that you're using if they don't have any Python version file. So, okay. And why would you want it local like this? Well, if you're doing a project, each directory may have a different version of Python, so it's nice to have it so when you cd into that directory, it'll automatically switch for you. It's very convenient. Okay. All right, let's see what else we have. Rectangle. Rectangle is, okay, so to get there, I mean, because rectangle is a very hard thing to Google because it's a common word, it's rectangle app. So if I go to, I think it's, do I have it here? That's iTerm, TMUX. Well, okay, let's just go to, it's, what am I looking for? All right, rectangle app. Okay. So there it is, rectangleapp.com. Go there. All you need to do is download and just install, just like with any app. And this is what the icon looks like. Sorry I have to interrupt, but I realized that the menu bar has been cropped out of the picture. So I wanted to show this to you, and let me zoom in here. So this is what Jumpcut looks like. and I was talking about rectangle, and this is rectangle. And you can see here that to get to the left half, it's Control Option left arrow. So this is rectangle. So let me zoom in a little bit more. And this is menu meters here. This is the, I believe this is the memory, the network traffic, disk activity. The green is read and the red is write. And this is the CPU activity. So right now there's not much going on. And again, this is my Jumpcut, and this is what it looks like. And I think later on I also show, I think that I do the preference pane, but I think you could see that. So let's continue with the rest of my screencast. It's like a little window, miniature version of window. And what that does is it'll take your window, and there's key bindings, so you can see what the key bindings are. If I do this, it is Control Option left arrow. So I can take this Control Option and I can move it left, right. I can do half, bottom. So I'm holding down the Control Option and using my arrow keys to kind of move it around. And if I had an external display, there's also another key bindings to switch it over to the next display. And once you get used to all the key bindings, then moving the windows around, you never need to use your mouse. You can just do that. And if you want to maximize it, you just Control Option Enter, and there you go. And right, so let's see what else. Very useful. Rectangle menu meters. Okay, so menu meters. Okay, so menu meters. There's okay, so you just go search for it, and there it is. The thing that you need to be careful about it is that originally when menu meters was written, it was no longer maintained. So on newer versions of macOS, it would break. So this person was nice enough to fix it up and allow us to download it. So once you have it installed, it shows up on your top over here in your menu bar, and you can see that this is how much memory I have. This is the network activity, I believe. This is the disk activity. There's a lot of disk going back and forth. I guess I'm doing something. And this is the CPU. So when things get really busy, then you can see like a big spike in traffic there. All right. Oh, by the way, this same type of information is on the iTerm too. So if you go to your preferences, there's an option to set this up. Again, I saw this on the little tip of the day. And so you can have this, I think this is the CPU, this is, I think, memory, this is gigabytes of memory, and this is network traffic. So you can have something very similar on here too, so I have it on both. All right, let's see. That's menu meters. Jumpcut. Okay, Jumpcut is this icon over here, which is the scissors. So interesting thing about this is that it helps you with copying and pasting. So normally when you copy and paste, you would copy first and then you would paste. But then if you need to copy another one, you would have to go back and copy, and then you would have to go down here and paste again. But you can do it all in one shot. So for example, if this was a let's say you're copying username and password from someplace and you need to paste it individually. So I would do a Command C here and then go to the next one and highlight that and then Command C. And if you go to Jumpcut, you can see that I copied completion and split pane. So there it is, split pane and completion. And you can go down here and go to this menu bar and click that and paste that, and you can paste the completions. So you can choose. So it's very convenient. But if you don't want to go back here and you wish there was a hotkey, there is a hotkey. So if you go to Preferences, and I'm in the hotkey section, you can see that the hotkey is Control Option V. So we can try that out. So if I'm here, I can do Control Option V, and you can see that comes up. And if I press Control Option V again, I'm still holding the Control Option, and if I let go, it will select it. So as long as you hold on to the control option, you can press it multiple times. So if I say control option V, and I still have the control option being held, and I press V again, I can go down. And if I want to go back up, I just add a shift key to that control option, and it goes backwards. So, and I can just pick it. So when you're copying over things like, you know, username, password, you just go to that source, copy the username, copy the password, and then you go and you can paste over the username and password individually just from the buffer. Very convenient. All right. So take that out. Jumpcut. Okay, and of course your editor. So I'm using VS Code now. I'm trying it out, and so far I really like it. So I set up VS Code and MacVim, and then I set up my Oh My ZSH. So by default, I believe Apple has switched over from Bash to ZSHRC. I mean ZSH, and in order to make your ZSH kind of pretty and make it useful, it's nice to download this package because it'll have things already done for you, like the command prompt, for example. So with the command prompt, you can see here that by default I think I'm, you know, when you set it up, and it's very easy to set up. If you go to Oh My ZSH, I think this is the page right here. If you go to Oh My ZSH, at the bottom you can see that all you have to do is just copy and paste this script, and it'll set it up for you. And what that gives you is a nice little prompt that includes your Git branch that you're working on, the current directory, and if I make a mistake, this instead of having a green arrow, it would be a red arrow. So you know that there was some mistake that happened, an error that happened in previous command line. All right. So okay. So some of the features that there's a lot of features you can read up on it, but like colored man pages. Actually, before I do the command man pages, I want to show you something. So with Git, normally when you have tab completions, you're kind of used to tab completions on file names. But if I do Git checkout, and if I press tab, this will have all the different commits that I could, or tags or whatever that you can choose. And if I, like, for example, if I press M, actually Git checkout, I don't have an M here, so maybe 1.4, press tab, and you can see it does do a tab completion of this. So it's kind of nice. It's specific to each of the different commands. It'll do things differently. So colored man pages. So normally when you do a man is short for manual, LS, for example. This tells you everything about LS, but normally if I didn't have the colored man pages, this would all be in one color and be, you know, but this way it's a lot prettier. So what you need to do is in your ZSHRC file, in your plugins, you just need to include that. So I have colored man pages over here. Also I have Git, and it gives you a lot of other nice Git features. ZSH syntax highlighting. So for ZSH syntax highlighting, what that you've seen it here. So if I do ls, you can see that it's colored in green. But if I have some command that doesn't exist, it'll show up as red until like you give it the command again. And if I have a string, it's colored in yellow. If I do a star.x, it's a little bit because of the star is a wildcard, and so it shows up in different colors. So it's kind of nice. For that, it's not part of OhmyZSH, and you need to go to a different place, ZSH syntax highlighting. And if you go there, basically you just need to clone it. Oh yeah, here's the install documentation, and you just follow this. So basically you need to git clone it, which will make a copy, and then you need to add this into your ZSHRC file. And so here's my ZSHRC file, and So, uh, so yeah, so you just add it over here. Okay. I don't know if I have that. Interesting. See, source and put into your ZSHRC, ZSH, simply clone. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not sure where I have it in here. Maybe I don't. Oh, actually, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so it's kind of nice. It's color coded, and you could also do the same thing with auto suggestions. And if I do ZSH auto suggestions, and it's very similar. You need to do a git clone. So I think if you scroll down here, there's a installation, and they show you. Yeah, basically you do a git clone, and when you do, yeah, so you git clone and you add it to your git, your plugins right here. And if you notice that when I type ls, it has the argument from what I used previously. Now this is just showing it to you. This is not actually part of the line. But if you want to make it part of the line, you just press Control E, and you can just complete it out. Okay. So let's go back. All right. So that takes care of, I think that's all I wanted to show for now. So I hope you found this useful. And well, obviously there's more things that I've installed, but these are the basics, and definitely it's like a must-have. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.